Welcome back. We hope that you will check out the website chapmankelly.com, and you will see all kinds of interesting information about the art world, what Chapman has done in the past and what he's doing right now, and who he knows that's making a difference in the art world. Tell us about some of the people you're working with.
Well, John Vitter-Montes has started Council for Artist Rights.
And where is he?
In Chicago.
Chicago.
But he's keeping up with a variety of the different Vera cases and such, and working along the same sort of route.
And you have the lawsuit with Chicago, and explain that just a little.
Well, we're finishing the appellate court. A law has no meaning until you find out in an appellate court. You get rulings that put some teeth in it, and it means something, or it's just a piece of paper. And we're about to wind up. It's already considered a landmark case because it'll change everything about the art world, and everybody's role will have to change because of it. And so
and John's very active in that.
Well, the Council for Artist Rights is following all of the artist rights problems, and we hope solutions.
Yeah, that, I hope so too.
Yeah.
What are your personal goals and aspirations for yourself and the art world?
Well, it's really very simple that I want to have peace and plenty in a rational world for everyone.
Hey, that's a...
And we're working on getting the wildflower works. We need to do some more research adapting what we learned in Chicago with Dr. Tom Allen, so that we really could have wildflowers all the way through the season.
Yeah,
otherwise, you can't really replace what's done now with regular flowers that we can't afford in the future.
Tell us about the Wildflower Project and how that began and what that's all about. I don't think we've talked about that tonight.
Well, in 1967, in a critique group I had in my studio, I challenged them, asking what they would do if they were free to do anything in the world. It isn't until we think the unthinkable, do the undoable, that we'll have any influence on humankind.
All right, say that again.
It isn't until we think the unthinkable and do the undoable that we'll really have any influence on humankind. And so then they tossed it back at me, and I realized that I could make my giant paintings out at DFW Airport by juxtaposing the flat, non-figurative parts of the paintings with the concrete of the roadways and runways. They've got blacktop around these general ovoid drainage areas. If I could grow wildflowers,
make it beautiful.
It'd make a huge painting, but I also figured out the ecological and economic advantages and how that would fit into what's happened to water. You know, we're not going to have water to do these things very, very soon. And so I got started at DFW, then I did one in conjunction with a retrospective show at Fair Park with the Museum of Natural History with a retrospective show of my paintings that the Hirshhorns came down to see.
Yeah.
And then I was invited to move to Chicago, where I did 2 ellipses, 150 by 310 feet each, and we developed it so we had flowers all the way through the season, all the way through.
Yeah.
No water, no insecticides, no fertilizers, and it got attention all over the world.
And what's happened to that now?
Well, they started trying, the Park District there started trying to grow them and spending millions and failing. So with their inimitable political will in Chicago, you just get rid of the one that's embarrassing you.
Yeah.
And so they ripped it out like they did Meigs Field, and where we went into federal court under the Visual Artists' Rights Act. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be finished up very soon.
Some monumental things going on, right?
Yeah.
Now, would a book, having a book put together with wildflowers, could that influence the whole world?
Of course, it has to be done everywhere. Native plants is the only way that you can go. But I don't know anyone else who seems to be doing that we can find the research necessary to have them all the way through and replenishing on their own using the perennials and reseeding and so on. It's much more complex than we or anyone ever thought. And without the scientists, we would not have been able to do it. And now we would need to do some further research related to what we've done here before to adapt it to this area.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the best things that could happen, is a book that would teach people.
Yes, but I've got to find some way to be able to do this research.
Yeah, I hear you. So you were really green long time ago.
In addition to being an Irishman.
Yeah, that's pretty wonderful. Well, what would you hope for the future of the art world?
Well, I would hope that the future image makers, also known as artists, would have the same opportunities for professional recognition and thence public support and participation that I have had. And that museums like libraries would be free to the public. It's the public who pay the bills through the tax-exempt system. Institutions operating transparently, as being called for by a major museum man now, and only in the arts, with the arts and the public as the direction and the interest. It's got to happen because it's illegal for not-for-profit institutions to expend their energy and assets for the benefit of individuals.
And there's a letter that's gone to Obama.
Yep.
And quite a bit going on. So what we need to do is tune in to your website, chapmankelly.com.
Right.
And we can learn lots, but we can probably go online and find much more about artists' rights movement as well.
There are books, there are papers, there are research papers, there have been lectures. There's a lot of information about this. We're not alone. There are a lot of people involved, and now with Mr. Picasso involved, it's an international movement. And it's just a shame that the media here in Dallas doesn't seem to be willing to touch it.
Well, it will probably happen because I've always said there's might with right, you know.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope that we get some attention from our conversation. And we do thank you so very, very much for sharing.
Pleasure.
I've enjoyed sitting here with all of these fabulous paintings in this wonderful home, and thank you so much for being with us. We are very, very happy that Dallas-Fort Worth has you back. And we'll be watching these projects and see if there aren't some books. And again, you mentioned having people donate any kind of information about the 50s and 60s and 70s by going through your website.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rebecca Stringer Show. Our show is about givers, people who are spending their lives doing things for you and making your life a better life to live, particularly in Texas. We have so many wonderful artists. We're so thankful we had Chapman Kelly with us this evening. Thank you again.